Hello, good morning. You're welcome to my program, Mining for the Truth, which refers to the process of digging to discover the undiluted doctrines of Christ. I attend Church of Christ. My name is Joseph Atta. I'm speaking to you live from Ghana, West Africa. I am in Takoradi, recording from my room. I welcome all my viewers from all over the world: Australia, USA, Dubai, Nigeria, India, South Africa, and everywhere in the world. You are all welcome. Thank you and God bless you to all my donors who have been supporting to come live to preach the gospel of Christ. Doris Odongo, you are welcome. I love you and I know you reciprocate. I welcome you, Church of Christ. You, Esikado, Campus Church of Christ, Brother Samuel Kobna, Brother Akonu Mensa, Brother Engineer Lloyd, Kwame Gao, and everybody. I just finished training my girls in industrial welding. We ended on Monday. I'm hoping that they will be employed. They will be taken as apprentices, as trainees, as helpers, as cutters, and a whole lot. I forwarded some pictures to my lecturer. And this is what he said to me. God gave you a gift to teach and to lead. Being a follower of Christ has made the difference. I repeat it. God gave you a gift to teach and to lead. Being a follower of Christ has made the difference. I'm a follower of Christ and I have no regrets ever. If you're contending with me, you are contending with Christ. If you don't like what I'm doing, being engineering and in theology, you are competing with Christ because I am his servant. He created me to function for him. And exactly is what I've been doing. Now, last week, we learned about what is the truth. John 14 verse 6. Metaphysical, epistemology, and then axiology. The video has been doing well. Many have been viewing. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Joseph Atta's live stream. Also, Facebook, you can follow my page, Mining for the Truth. Having said that, I couldn't promise you last week because I still don't have laptop. Typing has become very difficult for me, and it was on Thursday that I got hold of someone's laptop. So I had to quickly learn to type what I'll present soon. I thank God that he has opened my mind to study because we don't use one day to prepare teachings. Actually, even sermon. But by his mercies, and of course I had 6 pages. So today's teachings is 6-page document. I've seen some few errors in which later I'll have to edit and correct it. Alright, we are going to learn about euphemisms. Euphemisms. Combating the plague of profanities and watching how we speak. Euphemisms. Combating the plague of profanities and watching how we speak. Text: Matthew 12 verse 36 and 37. Ephesians 4 verse 29. The same Ephesians 5 verse 4. Colossians 3 verse 8 and 2 Timothy 2 verse 16. Euphemisms. Combating the plague of profanities and watching or being vigilant on how we speak. Introduction. Most elderly and young people are fond of using profane words such as locally mentioning vagina, penis or penis, and other private parts, other sensitive private part of the human body for play and fun. Sometimes you see them officially using profane words. When I say profane, when you come to Ghana, we have means of or something that you must say locally before mentioning breast or penis and others. Even buttocks. We have some local dialects or some local phrases in which you have to say it before you mention the breast, but when you are mentioning the breast, even though we have a direct term being in our dialect for breast, but you are to begin from somewhere before you mention the breast. And by mentioning the breast, you're going to use euphemism, being our local dialect. So you don't mention them as they're supposed to be mentioned. And once you start with this euphemistic phrase being in our dialect, then the listeners have been conscientized of what you are going to say, so that it does not become more offensive. However, the aged and some young people, the youth, they mention them direct for play and fun, as if they are joking. Never imitate. Shun downloading and listening to songs using this word for fame. Some songs have been mentioning the private parts by exposing them the way they should mention. You are hereby informed that when you are speaking publicly, it's different from speaking in private. For example, a dog is called a dog. But some instances, when you are standing before audience, we have a very nice way of using the noun dog. This is what I'm trying to make reference to. However, if someone may question, okay, Joseph Arthur, and what if you've given birth to a child, or your child, or a young child is asking you the name of breast? Of course, I'm going to mention to this child. Remember, it is in privacy. And when you are done, you caution him or her that we don't say as I told you publicly, but use this to replace the breast. I suppose you understand what I'm saying. So speaking in private is different from speaking in public. And even that one, you are using it, or it is the first time of you trying to inculcate, or you want to ensure what we call enculturation. The child has to be trained culturally. So there's nothing wrong teaching your child the dialect names or the native names of the private parts. There's nothing wrong on that. But don't forget to also caution him or her that don't go elsewhere to mention this publicly, because it shows that you are uncivilized, and of course you will not train well. So we say that never imitate, shun downloading and listening to songs using this word for fame. Foolishly, some musicians have been using private parts, and because of the society, they gain fame earlier. Some TV or radio stations host programs using those profane words. Movies are not exceptional. Profanities are everywhere. It is true. It is true. And even on televisions or even radio, somewhere 11 p.m. I said, yes, 11 p.m. they may host some kind of a special program to talk about sex and a whole lot. Then is where they issue the profanity. So precisely the media. And it is evident where they will show sex movies, and there are some presenters or some panel to analyze, and a whole lot. Our ears hear a lot, but as a sense organ, it must only digest sensible speech. Even though, of course, at times when you are passing by in a car, maybe some people are there talking, maybe at times I hear. But mostly I walk with my earbuds on. Even in the public transport, before I take the bus or the car, I have to insert my earbuds. The purpose is that I don't want to hear any foolish utterances in the bus. And of course, if I'm going to work, I'm supposed to have a clear mind, because the moment I arrive, I'm to go and then start my work. So I don't need any provoking issues arising in the country, some kind of argument, insult and quarrel, people who were not civilized. No, I don't want to hear that. So I insert my earbuds. and before I alight, then I have to off the Bluetooth so that I can cross the road without the earbud on. Of course, it is also wrong to cross a road with the earphone or the earbuds. All right. God will judge people with profanities, whether said in private, public, used before adults, children, and even for fun. There's a difference between teaching a child the real names of some private parts and having a conversation with a friend also in privacy using profanities. When I'm teaching my child that the breast is called this in Ghanaian language, there's no sin in this. But when you are sitting with a friend, with friends, having discussion in profanities, mentioning the real names of private parts, you are into a sin. Remember Psalm 1 verse 1. Psalms 1 verse 1. I think and 2. Psalms 1 verse 1 and 2. I need to see something there. Psalms 1 verse 1 and 2. I think there's a warning there. Blessed is the man, or blessed is the man, who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight, okay, so the one is even okay. So I don't sit among sinners to speak foolishly, or people who make fun of people. Sometimes they crack dirty jokes by mentioning this private part for fun. There's no way I'll sit down with you. Research indicates that people who are fond of profanities, they start early dating and practices sex. It continues, leading to future premature pregnancy without husband or before marriage. Yes, it is true. If you have not been doing it, why are you always interested in saying it? Because you have been seeing it daily, weekly, or monthly. So therefore, you don't feel shy to come out to speak about it. Train yourself that such fools will always be shy, regretting those words the moment they recognize your presence. Yes. You are a fool, officially. A big fat fool for sitting publicly cracking useless jokes about private parts, that when you are speaking, you are not being euphemistic. You are a fool. So therefore, once you hear them, or when you are coming, ideally, they must be shy. They must cease from those foolish utterances and regretting, recognizing that you are there, so they must stop it. If you're a Christian, that's how your features should be. Once people, when they see you coming, at least, they should change their conversation, or when you are there, they are not supposed to direct such foolish utterances to you. I mean to say that when they see your presence, they must change entirely their conversation, or they should start to disperse. So this one will pass here, this one will go there. That's how ideally it should be. But when a Christian is working towards unbelievers and believers, and now they have intensified their useless utterances, they have a question mark. No Christianity is in you. Now, B, are you tired of hearing profanity being uttered? Are you tired? We are exposed to it at the supermarket, at the beach, in the streets, in a car, on a bus, by passers-by, radio, workplace, ball games or football games, and churches, even churches. Can you imagine that even in the church, sometimes you find some church members using profanities when the church is about to start or after the church has been closed. I mean, after closing. after closing or after closure, if you want. So even in churches, people who call themselves as Christians, they don't mind being in the church or sitting in the church, cracking useless jokes of profanities. It fills our novels, movies, so at times you have some books talking about sex illicitly. Movies, even for movies, there's no doubt. And it's profuse, we mean abundance, on television. Where do you see these things most? On TV. For radio, that one, you only hear, you won't see. But the TV is more catchy than the radio. Radio is by hearing. Just you hear it, and then maybe sometimes you listen. That one, you will not see any pictures. But for the TV, everything is visual. So the major media will be the radio and then the TV. In fact, it is a pervading evil influence in today's society. So profanities are pervading evil influence in today's society. They are everywhere. They are everywhere in dressing, in speech. We hear it from all strata of society. Men are more euphemistic when talking to a woman for proposal. You find men being euphemistic only when they are proposing to a woman or their lovers. However, both men and women are not euphemistic. Both men and women are all not euphemistic. However, averagely, females lack euphemism and are uncivilized. Both men and women are all not euphemistic. But averagely, when we find average, in my own research, women are fond of profanities than men. Averagely, when they're seated in a bus, they don't mind saying it. In a compound house, when they go to gossip in the streets, they just don't feel shy. Women don't feel shy to speak in profanities. So these are in my own research. Maybe you may also have yours. C, the nature of the language, that is sexual explicitness, is getting qualitatively worse. And adjective qualitative refers to the comparison based on quality. It is becoming worse. So the quality has been suppressed. The Christian cannot, here's where you have to listen well. The Christian cannot be employed to propagate profanities on the media. I'll give you examples. The Christian cannot be employed to work with Guinness Ghana Limited. The Christian cannot be employed to work with tobacco company. The Christian cannot be employed in a company where they produce alcohol, drugs. Now, at times we position ourselves just to these ones. If you are a Christian, you cannot be employed as an FM presenter, as a TV presenter, to promote useless utterances, profanities. At times, they are selling some drugs and some medicines. And you see that they are sexual boosters. So therefore, you, the presenter, will have to read. You are doing adverts. So officially, you are going to you're going to announce and explain vividly what the medicine can do to a man to boost your self-drive and a whole lot. These are sinful because you are unaware. Don't say that I'm working. The Christian cannot be employed to propagate profanities on the media, being TV or radio. So you sit down there comfortably and then challenge that after all it is a work. I don't care. God has never begged anyone to worship him, in case you're unaware. And he has never begged anyone to go to heaven. Never ever. But when you die, he will judge you. That's why you see your foolishness. You die and go to hell for propagating useless utterances on the media. If you're a Christian. D, being the last intro. Profanity is an invasive influence. You know, invasion by force. To come and then to stay with you by force. Invasion. Invasion could be in the form of a coup d'etat that they have invaded your privacy. So they come to capture you. Sometimes you will even be killed with all your family. You call it Operation Non-Living. So profanity is an invasive influence. Of course, it is persuasive. It is a mind maggot. And this maggot is from, an example is from the housefly, which may develop into a worm. So it is a mind maggot. If you are not careful and profanities should enter your head, it will corrupt your brain as if you are being eaten by worms. It gnaws or erodes. It erodes its way into the recesses. When we say recess in engineering, R-E-C-E-S-S, to recess means to coerce. So you see that it erodes or it gnaws or erodes its way into the recesses of one's thinking, and if harbored, will make its presence spontaneously felt at the slightest provocation. If you should entertain profanities, that's why it can lead to a rape, because you always sit down there and then think or speak about the nakedness of a woman. You admiration of nakedness of a woman. So the moment you see any girl bypassing with the slightest exposure of the breast, of the buttocks, then you have charged of wanting to rape. All because profanities has invaded your system. It has eroded your positivity of thinking, and it has been able to coerce you so that all your thinking becomes wickedness. And because you have harbored it, the moment you sense its vice, you are provoked. That this girl, if I get her, this and that. This is what happens when we allow ourselves to be unnecessarily and regularly exposed to its vileness. Why should you sit down with people who use profanities? Profanity refers to useless speech. They are just useless. Just useless. As useless as the speakers. There is no sense. No government will give you any national award that you are good at profanities. And some have been bragging that, precisely when you come to Ghana, some will brag that, oh, for this girl, she stayed with the aged. You know, the aged, at times, they are not interested in using, if not a lot of them, some are not interested in using some kind of, I would say, euphemisms to clarify some issues, or maybe to label some target parts. Not all of them. Some are euphemistic, some are non-euphemistic. So when in Ghana, when someone is that good, when the person is versed with issuing useless talks, then they classify him or her as that he or she stayed with the agent. However, there's no sense in it. Anyway, we go to the purpose of the lesson. I was just a warming up anyway. I was just an introduction. I was just trying to warm up. So now let's come to the purposes of the lesson. A, to comprehend that words are windows. Words are windows. And you know a window, I have this as a window. To comprehend the concept of euphemisms. 4 main reasons why people use euphemisms, and the 3 areas in which to be careful about using euphemisms. C. To know the 10 biblical propositions of euphemisms. That's all. To know the 10 biblical propositions of euphemisms. So first things first. A. Words are windows. So what do you mean by words are windows? Words are windows to the heart. That's all. So someone will ask, why are you saying that words are windows? Words are windows to the heart, period. They provide some of the clearest insight into our character. In fact, our words are the essence of who we are as teachers, leaders, comforters, gossips, whiners or complainers, and liars. Your words tell who you are. Explicitly, if you are a fool, you are known by your useless utterances, and if you are wise, you are known by your wise or your wisdom utterances or your intelligent utterances. So if you're a teacher, if you're a leader, if you're a gossip, if you're a comforter, if you're a complainer or whiner, if you're a liar, sometimes and many a time you are known by your own words. That's why we are saying that. In fact, our words are the essence of who we are. Our words are the essence of who we are. Our speech is one form of flute about which the Bible speaks. Each of us will be judged according to his fruits. Which fruit are you bearing? Useless speech or salted speech? Of course, in James 3, verse 1 to 10, I'm not going to read everything. The scriptures declare just how powerful the human tongue can be in doing either good or evil. Similar to a bit in the horse's mouth, the rudder on a ship, or just a small fire. The tongue is powerful, and if a person can control his tongue, he can control his whole body. Yes, it is true. I chose not to read the Bible text because I'll be using them on the last part, the 10 propositions of euphemisms. However, let me read them before I continue. Maybe someone is agitating that the same time they didn't read the Bible text. So quickly I'll read them. Matthew 12, verse 36 and 37. I'll just read them and then later maybe I will explain some of them for the purpose of my listeners. And I'm sorry in case you are offended. Matthew 12, verse 36 and 37. But I say to you that every idle word that men will speak, they will give account for it in the day of judgment. Verse 37. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Ephesians 4, verse 29. And then 5, verse 4. Ephesians 4:29. Ephesians 4:29. Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt speech proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for edification, so that it may give grace to the hearer. This is the New King James. I think the King James is using filthy than corrupt. I'm sure. The same Ephesians 5, verse 4. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse joking, that are not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. You go to Colossians 3, verse 8. And Colossians 3 verse 8. But now you also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy speech out of your mouth. Filthy speech, useless, worthless speech out of your mouth. Then 2 Timothy 2:16. Let's see what we have there. 2 Timothy 2:16. But avoid profane and empty babblings, for they will increase to more ungodliness. Now, a text has been read. We move on to James 3 verse 1 to 10. That if a person can control his tongue, he can control his whole body. And of course, it's true. It is by your tongue that you can be killed. Sometimes you can go to jail. Some will go to hell at the end because of useless utterances. Some tongues both praise God and curse men. Such should not be. The tongue is not meant for cursing. It is meant for praising God. And it is also meant for praising his creatures. Don't use your tongue to curse someone. Period. Jesus declared, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things. And an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. Simple. Your words shows who you are, already I've mentioned. The use of one's tongue is a great challenge, and it cannot be met by simply remaining quiet. Yes. We can sin by saying nothing. Sometimes you have to voice out. The truth must pop up, even when you are at the gunpoint. When we should speak up, so we are saying that we can sin by saying nothing when we should speak up. We are challenged to boldly tell the truth and not to be cowardly, but to show love. Even by telling the truth, there must be love. We are challenged to confront sin and sinners and not to be quiet and leave the job to others. When you see a sin, you must rebuke it. So people don't like me. Even if I'm a student or my learner, there's no way I'm going to tolerate a single indiscipline from start to finish. And of course, if you are indisciplined, there's no way you can move with me. Unless you are captured or you are disciplined. Because engineering hates indiscipline. And God himself also hates indiscipline. So if you are indisciplined, the moment I see you, we are enemies. Why? Because you hate my character. And there's no way you like me. And if you don't like me, you go to hell. I don't care. We are challenged to explain our feelings without bitterness or overstatement. Yes, when you are sharing your opinion, don't be bitter. And don't talk much. You see, the truth will find its way to their consciences by itself. So just voice out the truth, then you leave. Gently and quietly and politely. Don't struggle with anybody. Of course, maybe initially they've been brainwashed by Satan to debate, but later when they are out of the snare and they are in their full senses, they will see that no, what you were saying was right. There are many sins of the tongue, from profanity and cursing to lying and gossip. So you see the tongue, to speak profane words, useless and filthy languages. 2, to curse people. Then 3, to lie. 4, to gossip. Many of us who think we do a good job of holding our tongues may be failing without fully realizing it. Yes, sometimes you think that you try to control yourself, but before you are aware, you have spoken more than you knew. If we may be using euphemisms for words and ideas, we would never allow useless words to proceed out of our mouths. I love the word useless. Of no value, worthless. So I repeat myself. by saying that we would never allow useless words to proceed out of our mouth. Here is where, when we are being euphemistic, the Christian must be euphemistic, or you go to hell at the end. You sit down there and then debate that you're on your own. When you die, there is judgment. Luke 16 verse 19 to 31. When you die, you are not dead. The body is dead. The soul will be separated, will return to the owner, the creator. So you go to cemetery. Hades. Either paradise for the righteous, then Tartarus for people who spoke uselessly. So you could be a good Christian. You could be an absolute righteous person. But because of your foolish utterances, you go to hell for free. So you see that people don't go to hell basically because of the killing, joining Freemason and others. Because of useless utterances. Alright, B, the concept of euphemisms. The concept of, the idea of euphemisms, we will also look at the same point B. 4 main reasons why people use euphemisms. And the same there being the II, if you want. We will also look at 3 areas in which to be careful about using euphemisms. The idea comes from a Greek word, euphemismos, euphemismos, which basically means good speech. That's all. Euphemismos means good speech. Euphemisms are the use of mild or vague expressions. When we say mild, we mean something which is gentle. Or vague expression, of course, vague is spelled V-A-G-U-E. Vague expressions to substitute for blunt precision or disagreeable truths or concepts. They sometimes involve substituting an inoffensive or even a pleasant term for one more explicit, thereby veneering the truth by using kind words. So, as I've been continuously repeating, use good phrases to replace profanities. In general, nothing is inherently wrong with this. The Bible gives some examples of acceptable euphemisms. For instance, it describes death as sleep or rest. Yes. So, instead of saying that someone is dead, I say, yes. Then you can say he is at rest. So at times, obituary to read at rest means that the person is dead. For example, Moses slept with his fathers means that he died and was buried. That's all. So this is an example of euphemism, using a pleasant word to replace something which we think it is hurtful or harmful. Simple. So euphemism is the substitution upon all this. I'm trying to summarize it. It's the substitution of an agreeable or inoffensive expression for one that may offend or suggest something unpleasant. So the Bible has given us an example that rest or sleep is used to replace death. That's all. So this makes it pleasant and may not offend much. In Matthew 15 verse 7. Now let's read something here. Matthew 15 verse 7. Matthew 15 verse 7. Matthew 15 verse 7. hypocrite, rightly did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, so, Jesus used euphemistic language to explain how we eliminate through the bowels what we put into our mouth. We do the same virtually every day. We do not say, I need to go to urinate or defecate. No. It means you are uncivilized. We say, I need to go to the bathroom, the men's room. I need to visit the gents. I am going to ladies. We generally don't speak of someone vomiting or puking. We say they are nauseated. We don't speak of people being old. We say they are mature. Sometimes it becomes comical. Sometimes all these are comic. Of course, you know the red thing. I want to visit the gents. I want to visit the washroom. It's a very nice way. It's a very, so we call this as euphemism. It is a euphemistic way of seeking some kind of, to excuse yourself. We differ saying we are short and say we are vertically challenged. We use height deficiency for someone who is a dwarf in nature, because if you should tell this person that you are dwarf, hey, the person will be offended right away. So we say vertically challenged, and in education we are saying height deficiency. That's also in class. When we mention height deficiency, actually the person or the student or the learner is less offended than to say that you are like a dwarf. This is a direct insult. So the euphemism here is that height efficiency or vertically challenged. We don't say you are aged. The person himself or herself is aware that he or she is growing. Don't add a burden to him or her. So it's saying that you are maturing or you are mature. Simple. But while some euphemisms present no real concern for Christians, others do. For instance, instead of using the more accurate descriptions of sin, of the sin of adultery, people often refer to it as an affair or relationship, and this is a sin. This is a sinful way of using euphemism. As someone is trying to fornicate, and you want to justify or to cover it, being euphemistic. No. Adulterers are called companions or significant others instead of partners in sin, fornicators and whoremongers. So they have to be called whoremongers, fornicators or sinners, but rather they call them companions, or people that are vital that we can depend on. So for example, the man can cheat on the wife, or because of money, he has seen a woman who is wealthy. So they term themselves as partners, they are companions, and they are cheating. We call them fornicators. They will die and go to hell at the end. Baby murder or abortion is called pro-choice. Pro-choice. That presents a much nicer picture than reality. No. It calls to mind a picture of a woman who chooses not to have a baby. The person is killing, and they have found a very nice way to justify themselves. We continue. It does not conjure up images of an innocent little creature. We are still on the abortion. Being chopped to pieces, poked in the head, and then sucked out into a trash bin. The child is cut into, or you can say the fetus is cut into pieces and then dumped in the trash bin. And they are calling it pro-choice. So they are using the euphemistic word pro-choice. But here it is a sin. Homosexuality, which scripture describes as an abomination, is euphemistically referred to as being gay. And gay means happiness. That's all. The moment you hear of gay, they mean happiness. Satan is not wise. If you are gay, then they think that it is something funny or for fun. Of course, it is my own choice. So I want to stay. If a man wants to stay with a man, then they are saying gay, happiness. We call this homosexuality from Sodom and Gomorrah. Satan is not wise than God. The creator is not above the creator. What was good word now represents something very repugnant to God. The word there is repugnant. Today I'm using words. Expert. So now we go to I. Reasons why people use euphemisms. Experts identify 4 main reasons why people use euphemisms as follows. A. Evasion. E-V-A-S-I-O-N. Evasion. And when we hear of evasion, we mean to dodge. For example, they are calling homosexuality as gay. So they are dodging. To dodge means to evade. Evade, not invade. It's evade. E-V-A-S-I-O-N. Evasion. To dodge. To dodge. An act of evading. That is to take refuge in escape or avoidance. So they are trying to dodge. So the homosexuality or the homosexuals are dodging by calling themselves gays. My friend, you are trying to evade. So you see, the first reason why people use euphemism is to dodge. 2, hypocrisy. Or B. We are on the point B. Okay, we are on the point B. The concept of euphemisms. And I made mention of the 4 reasons why people use euphemisms. And then 3 areas in which to be careful about euphemisms. So we are on BI. And we are now on BIA. I mentioned evasion, to dodge. And then B, hypocrisy. We mean small b. Hypocrisy, to pretend. So the homosexual is saying that he's a gay. The same thing. A decorated monkey is still a monkey. So hypocrisy. C, prudery. Prudery. P-R-U-D-E-R-Y. Prudery. It is the state of a prude, meaning a person who is excessively attentive to propriety or decorum. And decorum means good conduct in appearance. So prudery, of course, is in the form of a prudence. We mean someone who dresses well. Propriety or decorum. So decorum means good conduct in appearance. The person dresses so neatly. D, deceit. So 1, why people are using the euphemism? 1, for evasion. B, for hypocrisy. C, for prudery. D, deceit. An attempt to trick. Deceit. To deceive you that they are companions. They are fornicating, and you are saying they are companions. Oh, so for example, the person is a nurse, and the doctor has been coming to alight her every day in the house. And when you ask, she is lying. She is being euphemistic. Oh, it's my doctor. He just came to alight me. Meanwhile, they are cheating on their spouses, and they are calling it companions. So this becomes a deceit, hypocrisy, and then evasion. At least 3 are sinful, being evasion, hypocrisy, and deceit. They are sinful, except the prudery is not sinful, because this one, the person has appeared so neatly and nicely. Decorum is the word, or propriety. Good conduct in appearance, someone who dresses well. The person is prudent. Dresses not to expose sensitive parts. Decorum is the word. If Christians use euphemisms to cover or minimize what they are really saying, it is deceitful. If you are sinning and then using some terms to cover up, then you are into a serious sin. We are taught to be truthful. If we mean yes, we say yes. If we mean no, we say no. Let's see something in Matthew. Matthew 5 and 37. Matthew 5 verse 37. But let your communication be yes, yes, no, no. For whatever is more than this is from the evil one. So your yes must be yes, your no must be no. Now we are on the II. 3 areas in which to be careful about using euphemisms. 1. Language related to sexuality and what might be called lavatory talk. We mean potty talk. Potty talk. Language relating sexuality and what might be called lavatory or potty talk. Yes, we have to be careful with. You sit down to talk about sex. All their utterances are on sex. So be careful on this. 2. Language that involves softer words substituted for swearing or cursing. So be careful. Even though the person is cursing, but the person is not aggressive. We have some cursing terms. The person is being euphemistic, so he will not mention the cursing terms. Even if he's mentioned the cursing terms, now the tone is less aggressive. So be careful on that. Then 3, language that substitutes for profanity. For example, profaning God's name. Profaning God's name. For example, some can say that Jesus Christ was a mere prophet. That Christ is not God. Christ is not Lord. Last week we saw. What is the truth? Christ is the truth. He will judge you and your master. Your how do I even classify them? Your evil leader. The person who has invented the religion that you have been brainwashed so much to criticize about Jesus Christ. Your leader will be judged by Jesus Christ. Now, if your leader, being an antichrist, is to be judged by Jesus Christ, how much more you? So you continuously to criticize. You will die and see your foolishness that Christ will judge you when you die. The judgment is automatic graduation. Once you die, either you go to paradise or Tartarus straight, awaiting for the final judgment. So we have seen that do not blaspheme against God's name, being euphemistic. God is God. He's a creator. I say he's a creature, sorry. He's the creator. He created all creatures, including Satan, who has brought about his agents to establish churches and different occultic societies to fight against the Church of Christ. Now, I may ask, why was hell created for Satan? Most people can't answer this cheap question. Even Christians, people who claim to be preachers and pastors and elders and deacons and the prophet and co. They can't answer. Why was hell created for Satan? For persecuting Christians. Simple. It is just cheap. So if Satan has been created hell, how much more you? Why? Because he is persecuting Christians. That's why you say Antichrist. So if you are his follower, you are equally an Antichrist. We call you a mannequin. mannequin. We move on. There is no inherent impropriety in talking about proper sexuality or bodily functions. There is no inherent impropriety in talking about proper sexuality or bodily functions. But according to Ephesians 5 verse 12, it is shameful to speak of some ungodly behavior, including that done in sexual realm. Initially, I've said that there's nothing wrong when trying to educate your word about the parts of his or her own body. That the breast is called this in our language. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. But we are saying that you are to also add that when you are going out, mention it in this manner than what I have taught you. Simple. This is all what we are reading here. And because the child is going out to be euphemistic, there's nothing wrong on that. If I and my wife are seated somewhere and discussing about our sexual health and others, that one isn't sin. But we are making reference to cracking useless jokes on it. We are taught to avoid evil speaking, Ephesians 4 verse 29 to 31. We will go there. And filthy language, Colossians 3 verse 8. The word of God condemns filthiness, foolish talking, and coarse jesting, Ephesians 5 verse 4. So you see, foolish talking. So, the language of the gutter, of sexual sin, and euphemisms for the same are sinful. When you are speaking foolishly and you try to justify it by using euphemisms, it is still sinful. Use polite words to essentially swear, curse, or damn. Using polite words to essentially swear, curse, or damn someone is not something a Christian should do. The Christian does not swear. Christians do not swear. No matter how polite you are, how euphemistic you are, you don't swear. You don't curse. You don't damn someone. We are taught not to curse our fellow men. Romans 12 verse 14. Romans 12 verse 14. I prefer to read because I was rushing to type. In case there's a mistake, then I'll correct it later. Romans 12 verse 14. And then from there we go to James 3 verse 9. Bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Even those who are persecuting you, those who are worrying you, who are causing intense pain to you, you have to bless them than cursing them. James 3 verse 9. Let's see what we also have there. James 3 verse 9. James. So James 3 verse 9. With it we bless our God and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made after the likeness of God. So you must not curse. Cursing involves invoking damnation or harm upon others. Of course, you are angry. Many Christians can be heard using euphemistic words for damn and hell. This must be avoided. Another area where many Christians unwittingly stumble is language that relates to God's name. Using God's name in vain is to use it improperly, without respect or without meaning. So cursing and profanity are not necessarily the same thing. One can profane God's name without cursing. God's name can be used righteously to identify God to others, to address Him or praise Him. His name is holy and sacred. The phrase holy and sacred means set apart for a special purpose. Simple. The phrase. We are saying that God's name is holy and sacred. So I'm saying that the phrase holy and sacred means set apart for a special purpose. When we take anything that is holy and use it for ordinary, common purposes, we profane that thing. When something is sacred and you profane it for just an ordinary purpose or common purpose, we profane, we discredit it. Words and phrases such as golly, gee, gosh, jeepers, by jingo, and Judas priest are all euphemistic words for God's name. These are what some are claiming. Of course, this happened to be my research some time ago. I would say between 2017 and 2019. Where I wrote, when I was doing my program online. But I had to edit it. I think I had about 15 pages or so. But this I had to edit. That's why I said, I look for someone's machine to type. I had to add in so many things and then delete a lot because it was an assignment. But this I'm going to teach it. So it cost me a lot of time and pains to search. But God is God, and then I thank Him for the mind, free of charge. Of course, I didn't do it on my own. They are usually used as filler words and mean nothing. We are taught in 2 Timothy 2:16 to avoid profane and idle babblings or empty chatter. So if you think that they are of no use, don't use them. Sometimes when someone, we are still on the concept of euphemism, so the concept. Sometimes when someone brings out attention to improper euphemisms, we say, well, I didn't mean anything by those words. My friend, you are lying. I didn't even know that was what they meant. Does ignorance justify? No. Ignorance is not an excuse. If you didn't mean something bad by the words, what did you mean? And what do you mean? What do you mean by that? Often a person responds, I didn't mean anything. That sounds much similar to idle babbling or empty chatter. And it is true. So if you go to that 2 Timothy 2:16, I was trying to explain the meaning of the profane and then idle babblings or empty chatter. Speaking from ignorance that you were not aware will still be counted that you are aware. Sometimes we agree that a certain word once meant something bad. For instance, today's young people are often heard saying that something sucks. S-U-C-K-S. Many of us recall when that word referred to an act of sodomy. Youngsters today use it to mean something distasteful or disliked. So you'll be pardoned by God on that you didn't know. And so what? We do recognize that words change in meaning at times. But let us be certain we know what we are saying and that those who hear us what we mean. Because you are saying sucks. I see it to be so dumb. And you are saying that it is something which is distasteful. Well, how will God also see it? Of course, I'm not the judge. We do recognize that words change in meaning, of course. This has been said. Now, when in doubt about using a word or words, compare them to the criteria set forth in Titus 2:6-8. I think already I've read it. Likewise, exhort the young men to be sober-minded in all things, showing yourself to be a pattern of good works. A pattern showing yourself To be a partner of, so this we mean a template in doctrine showing integrity, reverence, incorruptibility, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that one who is an opponent may be ashamed, having nothing able to say of you. So I'm using this to correct that sucks means something which is distasteful. How would the audience also understand it? And by chapter 2 verse 6 to 8, you are a template and you are responsible for your own words. See the 10 biblical propositions of euphemisms. 1. We will give an account to God for every sinful word we speak. Matthew 12, verse 36. Matthew 12. But I said to you that every idle word that men will speak, they will give account for it in the day of judgment. Please, I want to check my camera. I tell you on the day of judgment that we are all going to give account of every careless word that we spoke. 2. God will use our words to justify or condemn us. They say Matthew 12, verse 37. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. So you can either go to heaven or hell based on your words. Then point 3. Our words reveal the condition of our hearts. They say Matthew 12, 34 to 36. 5, sorry. Oh, generation of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Verse 35. The good man brings good treasure out of good things, and an evil man out of evil treasure brings forth evil things. So in the context of expounding upon the vital truth, by its fruit shall a tree be known, Jesus uttered this stunning words: out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. The good person out of his good treasure brings forth good, and evil person out of his evil treasure brings forth evil. This passage helps us with the question of profanity. And if you go to Philippians 3 verse 8, Paul used off-color language in Philippians 3 verse 8. Account everything manual. Let me see if it is Philippians or Philemon. So Philippians 3 verse 8. If I prefer to check everything, once again, I reviewed everything. I have to review everything again. Philippians 3 verse 8. Philippians 3 verse 8. Okay. Indeed, more, I count all things lost for the excellence of the knowledge of Christ Jesus, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things. I count them rubbish, so that I may gain Christ. So, Paul used off-color language in Philippians 3 verse 8. I count everything manure to shock the Philippians, but we don't typically use salty language that way. Once the tongue is okay, so Paul tripped So there's a man called Portrait, T-R-I-P-P, Portrait. He said that the vile things a drunk says were already hidden in his heart. A drunk, or you can say drunkard. Whatever he is saying is something in his heart. Don't defend that the person was drunk. My friend, you are no wiser than God. And no knowledge, no discipline is about the Bible. So Paul Trank is saying that the vile things a drunk says were already hidden in his heart. Some drink to go and kill. Some drink to hang themselves. He had planned to kill, to hang himself, but because he couldn't do with the right senses, so he had to intoxicate. And by learning of alcohol, the moment you sip small, you become abnormal. Some want to quarrel, some want to fight. They can't use the naked eyes unless they take in alcohol. So it was preoccupied. The person was preoccupied. So I agree with this, with Portrait, that the vile things a drunk says were already hidden in his heart. Once the tongue is lubricated, so I'm trying to explain what he said. Once the tongue is lubricated, you know, lubrication, I mean dipped. Once the tongue is lubricated by alcohol, we mean that the tongue has been submerged deep in the alcohol. The content of the heart pour out of him. Period. Such is true of us all, because the person has already submerged himself as if being baptized. So we say once the tongue has been lubricated, lubrication. You understand lubrication when you consider automotive engineering. The content of the heart pour out of him. What comes out of our mouth originated in the heart. They were already in. Our words serves as a CAT scan of our heart. CAT, capital C-A-T. CAT scan. Our words serve as CAT scan of our hearts. Now, CAT means computerized axial tomography. Computerized axial tomography. That's the sense of CAT scan. So when I say our words serve as a CAT scan of our heart, some will say CT scan, but I'm using CAT scan. Computerized axial tomography. Of course, I will explain. You see, when you watch movies, at times, the whites, once again, I do my research and then send to abroad. My Bible studies isn't from African background. Please, this is that you must know. So sometimes all my research are based on for USA precisely. That's why I'm using the term CAT scan. Our words serve as CAT scan of our heart. Now, CAT scan is used as a diagnostic imaging procedure that uses a combination of X-rays and computer technology to produce images of the inside of the body. It shows detailed images of any part of the body, the brain, the muscle, fats, organs, and blood vessels. So, once again, if you go to the foreign land, they have this machine. The inside is circular. So the patient will sleep in this manner, and then you are pulled in. And as you are being pulled in, you are scanned thoroughly. You call this CAT scan. Of course, unless you have money before you can go through this screening. So it is a combination of X-ray and computer technology. X-ray, and then it is going to expose detailed images. Whatever is hidden in your body will be exposed. Being the fat, being your muscles, blood vessels, even bones, everything will be exposed by the CAT scan. That's why we are saying that our words serve as a CAT scan of our hearts. So this means that it is a true replica of what is inside us. Well, once again, we don't say the Bible with local languages anyway. I mean, how do you explain a CAT scan in Fanti or tree? Eh? Bible without education is useless. You must have studied before learning the Bible. It will help you a lot. I am not sitting here with SHS qualification, in case you are unaware. So I know how to use English to teach the Bible. CAT scan. CAT scan. 4. Corrupt talk. We are on the 10 propositions of euphemisms. 10 biblical propositions of euphemisms. 4. Corrupt talk is the opposite of the gospel talk. Ephesians 4 verse 29. Corrupt talk is the opposite of gospel talk. I will read Ephesians 4:29. I have not forced anyone to come and listen to my preaching. I preach in English. So if you don't want to listen to me because I preach in English, it is none of my business, because I am not doing it for only one tribe, one country, or some people. I'm doing for the whole world. And even the whites who do not know how to speak English are forced to learn how to speak English. I believe that God has given the whole world one common language. I believe in this, that God has given us English so that we can use it for science and commerce. Of course, a language is a way of living. It is an individual's choice. So, it is my choice to teach the Bible using English. Once again, I'm looking for Ephesians 4:29. Yeah, I'm there. Let no corrupt speech proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for edification, so that it may give grace to the hearers. Paul seems to have such unbridled talk in view. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth, but only such as good for building up, as fits the occasion, so that it might give grace to those who hear. Thus we ask, are our words gospel words? Do they convey grace? I mean, if you're a Christian, listen to me. Are they consistent with the gospel? Profanity, slander, gossip, quarrelsome. The quarrelsome words, zingers that garner laughs at the expense of another, fail the test of gospel talk. I repeat, profanity, slander, gossip, quarrelsome words, and zingers that garner laughs at the expense of another, fail the test of gospel talk. Paul seems to be saying the profession of our mouth should reflect our confession of the Savior. You are a Christian. And see how I've been talking to people outside. Are you preaching the gospel of Christ? Are you portraying Christ, or the opposite? Now, the Greek word for the foolish talking, the Greek word for, the Greek word for the foolish talking here is sapros. Sapros. Akin to sepo, you mean to rot. So sapros, being the corrupt or the foolish talking, is here also saying sapros, akin to, you mean in relation to sepo or sipo, C-E-P-O, you mean to rot. It denotes that which provides no good service. Let no corrupt speech. I will go to the the ESV version and see what it is also saying. Ephesians 4:29. Ephesians 4 verse 29. I want to read from this and see in case a different word was used here or different phrase was used here. And if I don't find it, we move on because of time. I don't want to keep my listeners idle. Okay, so Ephesians 4:29. Please, I'm reading from the ESV version. Let no corrupting talk. Okay, so they are the same. So corrupt. Our words in the presence of others ought to be such as building men up rather than debasing them. Job 4 verse 4. Job 4 verse 4. Again, the inspired apostle wrote, but now do ye also put them all away: anger, wrath, malice, railing, shameful or filthy, speaking out of your mouth. Colossians 3 verse 8. The term signifies that which is base, characterized by shame. By shame. As a result of their studies of the Greek, Papel, Martin, and Milligan, these are authors. So Papel, Martin, and Milligan suggested that the word generally denotes foul or filthy language. Of course, you find this in vocabulary of the Greek New Testament, London, and this was by Hodder and Stoughton, 1963. I'm making reference to page 14. In connection with Colossians 3 verse 8, the noted Scottish scholar William Barclay wrote, there can never have been a time in history when so much filthy language is used as it is today. There can never have been a time in history when so much filthy language is used as it is today. And the tragedy is that today there are many people who have become so habitually to unclean talk that they are unaware that they are using it. So Colossians, the Daily Bible Study, Philadelphia, Westminster, 1957, page 184. Please, once again, to learn the Bible, it's not easy at all. To prepare even a sermon, it's not easy. You've got to read books. So I'm trying to refer to some authors, some scholars, their speech, their commentaries on, good commentaries actually, on the text. Ephesians 4 verse 29, then Colossians 3 verse 8. All right. Now we move on to point 5. Foolish words. We are on the 10 biblical propositions of euphemisms. Foolish words are the opposite of thanksgiving. Foolish words. Foolish words. The verse 29 is using a corrupt words. They are the same. So Ephesians 5 verse 4. Ephesians 5 verse 4. Neither filthiness nor foolish talking nor coarse joking that are fitting, but rather giving of thanks. By giving of thanks. Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place. But instead, let there be thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the antidote for foolish talk. Thanksgiving is the antidote for foolish talk. It stands to reason that a heart gratefully forgets. It stands to reason that a heart grateful for God's grace will not spew forth crude talk, will not spew foolish talk. We are still on Ephesians 5 verse 4. The Greek word for foolish talking here is morologia. 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 So the Greek word for foolish talking in Ephesians 5 verse 4 is morologia, which denotes silly talk or silly talking that is buffoonery. Silly talk that is buffoonery. Now, the adjective silly means exhibiting or indicative of a lack of common sense. Those who speak in profanities lack common sense. And the noun buffoonery means foolish or playful behavior or practice. So we are saying that morologia, foolish talking, means silly talk that is buffoonery. So we mean exhibiting or indicating a lack of common sense, foolish or playful behavior or practice. So you can imagine that they are seated or gathered and they're using filthy languages. It means they lack common sense. Number 2, they are in foolish play. And number 3, they are in foolish behavior or practice. So don't think that you are wise by using profanities. You are this and that, using the names or the terms of the human private part anyhow to children. Sometimes you have teachers, leaders who speak profanities to their subjects. Sometimes they are prodded. Now 6, our words have the power to destroy another person. Proverbs 18 verse 21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Our tongues can be used as a sword. Our tongues can be used as a salve. In scripture, words range from Father, forgive them, to what is truth. And from did God really say, to it is finished. Words affect both time and eternity. Sometimes you are asking, they will say, are you sure that you were sent by God? So they're trying to discredit it. That's why we're saying that death and life are in the power of tongue. Someone can use his tongue to blaspheme against God and then you die. Don't use your tongue to blaspheme against God. It is a sin. Now 7. Our words have the power to break up another person. The same Proverbs 18:21. Think of the last time you were downcast or anxious and a fit word from a dear brother or sister in Christ injected a measure of spiritual energy into your work. For example, you were depressed and someone came to tell you that cast all your burdens onto him, for he cares for you. You are relieved of your anxiety. Our words have the power to build up another person. 8. The more we talk, the more we are prone to sin. Proverbs 10 verse 19. When words are many, sin is not lacking. When words are many, sin is not lacking. When you talk plenty, sometimes sin is not lacking. But he who restrains his lips is prudent. Talk less, that's all. Speak or talk less. Be careful because the raw materials used to execute my calling are words, both in their written and spoken forms. So sometimes you must keep the truth unseated. Sometimes you have to keep quiet. Precisely when you speak and they are going to trash it away, sometimes you keep quiet or don't talk plenty. When you talk much, they are going to see that you are even of no value. Speak less and then go. They will be pricked by their own consciences to search for the small phrase that you spoke. But when you try to express yourself much, they will take you for granted. 9. It is wise to talk less and listen more. James 1 verse 19 to 20. It is wise to talk less and listen more. Talk less and listen more. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Indeed, Listening tends to be others-centered. Listening tends to be others-centered. Talking tends to be me-centered or I-centered. When you talk, it means you are only talking for yourself. But when you listen, then you are trying to invite others. That's all. Then the last one. Irrelevant babbles will lead people into more and more ungodliness. 2 Timothy 2 verse 16. Irrelevant, useless, unimportant babbles will lead people into more and more ungodliness. These are the 10 biblical propositions of euphemisms. Now, conclusion. There is a filtering device on the market called TV Guardian or TVG. This device attaches to your television set and video cassette recorder VCR with a pre-programmed vocabulary. It filters more than 90% of the profanity in most TV movies, videos. Of course, in Dallas, it will cost about $170. You see, once again, mostly my teachings are directed to US. That's why I've been using dollars. So you can convert into your currency and then you see. In Ghana, $1 is equal to about 16 cedis or 15 cedis. So 15 times 170 and then you see what you get. It is called TV Guardian or TVG. This is attached to the TV set. So the whites, they buy this and then attach to the video cassette. So you mean the deck or the TV. They will buy it and they will attach it. Why? Because they want to restrict their children from profanities in movies. And it's worth every penny of that amount. We mean that to buy this at $150 is worth it. How refreshing it is to be able to relax occasionally watching a program or movie without being inundated with verbal trash. Yes, it is so refreshing to the soul, and your children will even respect you. How will you feel when you are watching movie with your family? You are just relaxing, and then these words, useless words, tend to pop up. How will you feel? Your children, when or if they are a bit grown, they will try, they will start to even disrespect you that, daddy, why are you watching this movie with us? Or they will ask you, why did you tune to this particular station? 2, whatever we do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Colossians 3 verse 17. So, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31. Using useless talks. Are you glorifying God? Are you using it to glorify God? Are you using your mouth to glorify God by being seated among people who are using filthy languages? Are you doing this in the name of the name of God or Jesus Christ? Do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Are you glorifying God? Are you giving thanks to God? Then the last one, Ephesians 5 verse 15. Be careful how you walk as wise, not a fool. Be careful how you walk as wise, not a fool. Be careful with your socialization. They will call you antisocial. Fine. Because you've chosen Christ. You have begun to follow Christ. So they will persecute you. Satan will go to hell for persecuting Christians. So also your friends who are now persecuting you because you are now baptized and following Christ, they will also go to the same hell with their master. So this brings us to the end of our teaching on the subject, euphemisms, combating the plague of profanities and watching how we speak. To combat means to defend. To defend. Having said this, thank you so much for your time. My number is 0248 02 6557. I can't promise you what I will teach next week, God's willing, but I will try to get a laptop, type something, and then share with you. Bye bye.